AOC had absolutely no idea what she was walking into, and it showed. Take a look.
My colleagues say that opening more of our federal lands to fossil fuel development is what their constituents want and need. I'm not here to dispute that point in this moment.
During a House hearing, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez attempted to introduce a loaded amendment into a bill under review, but Congressman Matt Rosennale swiftly challenged her move, exposing what he saw as the performative side of her activism. His firm response underscored the kind of political tactics often used to gain attention rather than achieve real legislative progress. The heated exchange quickly caught the attention of both lawmakers and the public, sparking a wider debate about transparency and authenticity within the legislative process.
And how about if we allow forest management practices that would prevent millions of acres from burning each year, absolutely ruining air, land, and water quality.
What if we allowed forest management strategies that could actually prevent millions of acres from burning every year, saving our air, land, and water from devastation? That's exactly why today's discussion matters. It's not about pledging blind loyalty to any political party, it's about demanding practical, results-driven solutions. The focus is on responsibility, prevention, and long-term sustainability. At its core, this is a stand for common-sense action, protecting both people and the environment for generations to come.
Well, first I want to acknowledge that after a long history of various individuals in the body denying the existence of climate change, I do want to say that it's very encouraging to see that there is some acknowledgement of the climate crisis here in the report. So I'm proposing an amendment that would require the collection of public health data and other impacts of new drilling on federal lands.
To begin with, no one is denying that climate change is real, it's a well-established fact. The real issue lies in the heavy-handed measures that governments have adopted in response. The meeting in question, held in February 2023, took place as the Committee on Natural Resources reviewed its authorization and oversight plan, offering sharp criticism of the Biden administration's environmental policies. The discussion highlighted deep divisions over how to tackle climate challenges while balancing economic and social consequences. It also exposed the growing tension between the need for urgent action and the importance of practical, measured policymaking.
My colleagues say that opening more of our federal lands to fossil fuel development is what their constituents want and need. I'm not here to dispute that point in this moment. But I will say that surely if that is the case, then there should be no objection to gathering better data on the health impact of these policies on the health and safety of everyday Americans. So I truly believe this is a common sense amendment that would help protect and inform the American people, especially the most vulnerable among us. And I urge my colleagues to support the amendment, and I yield back.
That's why AOC tried to introduce an amendment packed with every imaginable climate buzzword. It even included language claiming that the burdens of fossil fuel extraction fall disproportionately on communities of color, low-income neighborhoods, and indigenous groups. But Congressman Matt Rosennale refused to let the move go unchallenged. He pushed back firmly, making his objections clear and calling out what he saw as politicized framing rather than genuine policymaking. The exchange underscored the sharp divide in Congress over how environmental issues are being discussed and whether the focus should be on ideology or practical solutions.
Mr. Chair, how can you ignore that emissions have actually gone up during this administration? How can you ignore the millions of people around the earth that have had clean water, indoor plumbing, lights, electricity provided to them, making their lives better, literally extending their lifespan, lifting them out of poverty by having access to electricity that's been provided by coal, oil, gas, or other fossil fuels? It simply can't be ignored. Their lives are better, their lives are longer as a direct result of that. So to sit there and say that we should be trying to eliminate these fuels is absolutely absurd, ridiculous.
He's absolutely right. President Biden's energy policy could easily serve as a case study in what not to do when crafting public policy. From his very first day in office, he launched what many viewed as a full-scale assault on fossil fuels, signing a series of executive orders that halted oil and gas drilling both onshore and offshore. That single move sent energy costs soaring, leaving everyday Americans to shoulder the burden. The ripple effects have strained household budgets and ignited fierce debates about energy independence. In the end, the policy has raised serious questions about how to balance environmental ambitions with economic realities.
The desire by this administration to shut down our domestic energy production is causing prices to escalate, forcing Montanans to make difficult decisions about heating their homes or simply putting food on their table.
But that wasn't the end of it. On the renewable energy front, Biden promised a sweeping transformation but ended up delivering disappointment. In February 2022, his administration launched the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program, pledging $5 billion to build 500,000 public EV charging stations by 2030. On paper, it sounded bold and forward-thinking, but by June of this year, only 56 stations were actually operational nationwide. The gap between promise and performance has been staggering, raising serious doubts about the administration's ability to follow through on its own energy transition goals.
Unfortunately, my colleagues across the aisle have been extremely selective about when they would like to use science-based information. How about if we start using science-based information about managing the population of grizzly bears in the state of Montana, which populations are at 300% and 400% of the target populations, so that we can delist these animals.
You'd think that politicians who call themselves climate activists would make forest protection a top priority. After all, healthy forests are one of the best defenses against climate change. Yet in practice, many have done the opposite. California is a clear example. Studies consistently show that proper forest management can greatly reduce the spread and intensity of wildfires, but layers of red tape and endless bureaucracy have kept real action from happening. The result has been devastating wildfire seasons that could have been prevented with proactive measures.
And how about if we allow forest management practices that would prevent millions of acres from burning each year, absolutely ruining air, land, and water quality across the state, across the nation, and start using some best management practices on how to take care of those forests, which would not only help keep our air, land, and water clean, but it would also help the economy, provide jobs, and be better for everyone who's connected with it. For all of those reasons, I will be opposing this amendment. Thank you very much.
Even the U.S. Forest Service warned in 2022 that 73 million acres of national forests are at risk from severe wildfires threatening both people and ecosystems. The agency admitted its hands are tied by legal and bureaucratic barriers that limit action. During that same meeting, Tom Tiffany posed a simple question that exposed how unprepared AOC was to defend her amendment, revealing the gap between political showmanship and real understanding. The exchange underscored the urgent need for practical solutions over performative rhetoric.
When you say impact, you mean both sides, positives and negatives?
Yes, I'm not sure if there's confusion about the substance of the amendment. The amendment is specifically about an assessment on the health and safety impact. If there are practices that are revealed to have positive health impacts on the communities, on impacted and frontline communities, I do not dispute the inclusion of any positive health impacts. I believe that we should have information on things that may improve people's health, but of course, there is a large degree of concerning information about the potential health impacts, breathing impacts, cancer exposure, etc.
That long string of words ultimately amounted to nothing. The real purpose of AOC's amendment was to inject identity politics into a report that was mainly focused on critiquing Biden's climate policy. In many ways, it perfectly captured the broader progressive approach, heavy on rhetoric, light on results. Unsurprisingly, the amendment failed to pass, as it added nothing of real substance to the final report. Share your thoughts on this in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep thinking critically.